Like I said, Dr. Ladapo is a relationship coach and is a speaker in many conferences, both national and international. Is someone that has been proven, and we can say that by some of the examples of people that he has been able to help when it comes to this part of life. And tonight we are privileged to have him in our midst. We'll be asking him questions and we'll be discussing especially with him. So I want you to sit down with your and listen attentively, because what you are going to learn tonight will be very, very, very important for you to choose. Tonight we are going to anchor our discussion on this word love. Pastor Ladapo, is love important at all, especially when it comes to relationship?
Thank you. Love is very important when it comes to relationship, and it's not even a marital relationship alone. Any form of relationship, love becomes very, very important. You will discover that it's God himself that created love. In fact, the Bible makes us to understand that God is love. You see, this life, there's no way you will relate with people. And if you don't really love them, you will not be able to relate with them in such a way that they will benefit from your life. So love becomes very important, whether a father to a son relationship, whether a brother to a brother relationship, a neighbor to a neighbor relationship, what have you, love becomes very essential. Do you even know that you don't even need to know that person before you can show love to that person? Love is like an expression that tells somebody that you are accepted, expression that tells somebody that you are valued and what have you. So love in all our day-to-day living becomes very important.
Sir, I want to ask, they say money can improve love. How true is that?
Thank you. Money. The truth of the matter is that I think people talk about that when they think more of the romance aspect of love.
Okay.
Like people used to put it, without finance, there's no romance.
Okay.
So probably they are looking at it from the angle of the romance aspect of love. That the more money that comes to your hand, the more romantic you become, the more your love gets spiced up and what have you. But really, love is not really about what you have.
Okay.
Love is not really about what you have. It's not really about money. Let me put it that way.
Okay.
But you see, the truth of the matter is that money is essential for relationship. So when money is in a relationship, it becomes very easy for you to express love.
Okay.
The Bible says, for God so loved the world, he gave. If you love somebody and you cannot show it through giving because you don't have money, then the person begins to doubt, does he really love me?
Must you give in a relationship?
You see? Now, I like that question. Must you give in a relationship?
As a people, we are still cutting. So when we marry, we'll give everything.
Let's even, the fact that love is important in a relationship, then giving also becomes important. Why we are not going to base that relationship on giving. But if you love someone, you will give. Do you know that if you love someone, you will even be creative? How can I surprise him? How can I surprise her? So you find out that there's no way you love somebody in a relationship that you won't give. Well, in fact, it's not going to be about hey, I should give. But naturally, because you love that person, you will give that person. Whether give the person time, give the person attention, give the person a gift or whatever. If you really love that person, you will give.
Mo máa ń gbọ́ ọ̀rọ̀ kan lẹ́nu àwa ẹ̀kọ́ kan náà, àwa náà máa sọ wọ́n nífẹ̀ẹ́, ìfẹ́ máa ń fọ́jú. Ẹ gbọ́ kí ló ń fà tó bá di ọ̀rọ̀ wípé a fẹ́ lọ́kọ àbí láya? Àní ìfẹ́ tí ó ti fọ́ lójú.
Àwọn èèyàn máa ń sọ pé ìfẹ́ fọ́jú, love is blind, this, but in actual sense, it's not true. I want to believe that what makes people say love is blind is because sometimes when you look at two people in love, you tend to look at external things. And so sometimes you may even look at those two people in relationship and say, how did this person agree for this person?
Okay.
And you come to a conclusion, well, love is blind. But you see, sometimes it's not about the outward look alone. Your character, your intelligence, your every other thing around you can actually make that person to love you. When you talk about the love that comes by being attracted, it has to do with the physical look.
Okay.
That's why some people, after you get attracted to somebody and you begin to see the character of the person is not good, you run away. So, but the truth of the matter, where that adage now comes from is the fact that some people begin to do stupid things out of love.
Okay.
So people tend to say love is blind. Maybe so, but in actual sense, love is not blind. In fact, love is very real. Love is very objective. Love, you see, love will tell you that, see, I cannot marry you because of this and this and this. Maybe, for example, the person is like, well, I cannot marry you because you don't seem to have a cut-out vision in life. You don't seem to do this. Love will tell you factual things. Facts. Love is not stupid. Love is not blind. Love is not all those things we have been hearing about. But people tend to coin it out of, you see, it is behavior that people put up out of emotion that is flowing in them towards that person that makes people to say love is blind, love is stupid, love is all those things. But in actual sense, it is not. There are different types of love.
Okay.
That's the humble truth. And different type of love apply to different people.
Okay.
Do you know that the Bible says we should love our neighbor? Do you know that the Bible says husband love your wife? Do you know that the Bible says love your enemy? But kini ya ó yàtọ̀ síra wọn díẹ̀. Ìfẹ́ ọ̀tọ̀ọ̀tọ̀ ni. There's something we call romantic love. Romantic love happens between opposite sex.
Okay.
There's a love that exists in a family.
Okay.
That one does not have this emotion that will not be making you not to sleep, not to. You know, I used to, in my speaking engagement, when I talk to singles, I usually tell them that love is not emotion. Because one of them one day defined love and said it's the ocean of emotion. I always say that love is not feeling. Because somebody said love is when you feel a feeling that you have never felt before. Love is not those things. And I try to use a practical thing to explain it today. I said, how many of you guys are here? You love your mother and you are proud of it. Raise your hand. And all of them raise their hand. Then I said, how many of you feel giz? Feel that butterfly towards your mother? Nobody raised their hand. But you love your mother. But you don't have that giz feeling towards her. So it shows you that that love is another kind. So we need to understand that there is difference between love. So when you now love somebody and you cannot tell somebody the truth, you are seeing some certain things that is getting you afraid, and you are managing it. Then you are not only endangering your life, you are also endangering the life of your future children.
Really?
But where love exists, there will be no fear. Is it that you sit down to address that thing that is that you are afraid of by asking question, or you take a decision whether you want to continue or you want to quit. So love, there's no fear in love.
Shisa, this next question is something I would love to ask. I know people say this generally, you must marry your friend, marry your friend. Is it something that, how helpful is that?
Thank you. You see, when we look at marriage is not just a one-day affair. In fact, if you look at when in a marriage ceremony, during wedding, on the wedding day, you see the priest reading some things. Marriage is set up for this, marriage is set up for that. Usually the first thing they mention is companionship. Okay? So, do you know why it is companionship? You have gone here, you have gone there, you come back home to meet that person. When you are sick, that is the next person that should take care of you. When this happens to you, when you have great news, you share with that person. If you need a shoulder to cry on, it is on that shoulder. So if that person is not your friend, then you won't be able to share a lot of things with the person. Love, marriage relationship involves sharing and caring. It involves communication. You share your pain, you share your successes, you share whatever in a marriage relationship. So if that person is not your friend, who will you share with you? If that person is not your friend, who will you communicate with? So that's why we usually say marry your friend. Somebody you can flow with. Do you know, I used to say something. The system of this world prepares us for our career. From primary school, secondary school, university. and you will run that career for like 35 years or up to the time you are 60 and you retire. When you retire, you are retiring back inside marriage. And some of you see your old parents, the two of them are remaining and they are still talking, they are still communicating. Because that is what it is meant for. So it is the background foundation that you are giving that relationship when you were a friend before you got married that will sustain it at that old age.
Thank you, sir, Doctor. I would love to ask this question. You know, we usually tell people in relationship, don't do this, don't do that, don't do that. I want to ask, how can we grow our love without crossing the line when it comes to courtship as individuals, as young folks?
That is a big question. In fact, do you know that this question is one question that can actually bring out the fact that whether you love that person or not when it comes to crossing boundary. Take for example, what Pastor Oni is trying to talk about is the fact that in courtship, we will say there are certain things you should not do. Sex is prohibited in a Christian courtship. We are not expecting you to begin to do some certain things that may even lead to that. So, do you know that sometimes love that you have for that person may even help you not to cross your boundary? Take for example, a lady told me and said the guy I'm in a relationship with is demanding for sex. In fact, he's threatening me now that if I don't give it to him within so time, I should forget about the relationship. These were the two people that they agreed that they will reserve sex for marriage. So the fact that this guy has started demanding shows that he doesn't really love this lady. I asked the lady a very sensitive question. You're a virgin now. You told him. He agreed at then. I was now asking the lady, who are you keeping this virginity for? He said, I'm keeping it for him. I said, the same person you are keeping it for wants to break it. If you give it to him, it will just become like that old nursery rhyme. And he shook his little tail and away he flew. He doesn't really love you. That's what I want to bring out from there. He doesn't really love you. My best man told me an experience where, along the line, because of the atmosphere where they find themselves. You remember we said it some times ago, that some atmosphere can put pressure on you. And we ended up by saying, avoid atmospheric pressure. So, they were in that kind of atmosphere, and in fact, the lady started misbehaving at that time. She started removing all her cloth and what have you, and this guy started petting her. He started calming her down until she came back to her senses. Some other person would have seen it as an opportunity. But because of the fact, he told me, said, I just thought of it that we have agreed that it is until we marry. Both of us had never had sex before. I just told myself, why will I now take advantage of her? I would rather wait. And then do you not see the reaction from the lady's side after some time? The lady said, yesterday I was vulnerable, but you did not take advantage of me. I will marry you. Look at that display of love. So love itself, whether love for God or love for your partner, will make both of you to respect boundary. The fact that you know that God does not love certain things, you won't want to do it. So love also helps both of you not to be self-centered. Because if care is not taken, people can be very self-centered, thinking about themselves alone all the time. But love makes you to think more of the other person than yourself.
Thank you very much. I will still want to delve deep into that question. When should we talk about these boundaries? Is it at the inception, or should we keep talking about it before we marry?
Love. There's no fear in love. You will talk about it without any fear. So those are the things that becomes important when we talk about when you are in courtship. You talk about this thing. Love will make you talk about this thing. Okay? Love will make you talk about your visions, your future, and how you can help one another to achieve them. It's very important. So those are the things you must talk from day one. You start talking about some of these things.
As he's a writer, he's a relationship coach, and he has a book on how to choose it to marry. Sir, can you discuss something about that, your book? What spurs you to write it, and what are the reflections of some of the things that you wrote in that book on how to choose it to marry?
Thank you. The motivation about that book, How to Know Who to Marry, is that some people just don't know. That's the humble truth. They don't know how to decide, can I marry this person or can I? Some of them, once the person is a born-again Christian, they just feel like, no problem. And some of them have burnt their finger due to this. So I wrote that book just to educate people, to make people to have marital literacy. Because marital illiteracy leads to marital captivity. So a lot of people are in captivity today because they did not know about marriage. A lot of people want to enter marriage today, they know next to nothing about marriage. They've read nothing about marriage. So I felt there should be a book, and that book is a practical step of how to know. Now, assuming somebody has approached you, the next thing is not to go and pray. You have series of parts to play. I mentioned some the other time. Ask yourself, is this person born again? Is he a serious Christian? Does he know where he's going? Then you move to the issue of purpose. Does this person understand its purpose? And if the person does, then you look at your purpose too. Does it align? It's a pointer. Then you move to the issue of character.
Okay.
Because character is the software that you are going to make use of inside marriage. Your character, in fact, that's what will come to play. People outside may not know much, but you are the one that will know. So if you discover that the character of the person will give you headache, don't marry the person. In fact, he is not one of those to marry. That's the meaning. So you look at all those character, selflessness. Is this person selfless or is self-centered? Right. So all those things becomes important. Then, of course, you ask again, compatibility. Are we compatible?
Okay. And
there are different levels of compatibility. So if that person, let's assume that person scaled through that, you need to ask another question. Do I love him or her? Does he love me in return? When you have looked at all these things and it seems that it is positive, this person seems to have passed all these things, you now ask yourself, do you want to spend the rest of your life with this person? If at that point your answer is still yes, it is then that you are ready to go and pray. I'm not saying the person is yours yet, though. You are ready to go and pray. But ask yourself before you pray, what if God says no? Will I trust him enough to know that he has the best in store for me? If the answer is yes, you are ready to pray. If the answer is no, you are not ready to pray. When you now pray, God will either say yes or no. So that is the practical steps that is in that book that you can follow at any point in time. If you compromise one, it becomes very dangerous. I know of people that have compromised one or two, and because they are still in touch with me, that is the aspect that they are suffering today. So it's important for us to know how, the steps, the things to look at before we settle for somebody in French.
Thank you very much. I'm sure that's a book you can get. I know it's on Amazon, so if you need a copy, you can always get to see that. Which is your best chapter in that book? Let me ask.
My best chapter in that book is chapter 3, I guess, that talks about preparation. Thank God you mentioned it. That's the aspect I did not mention when I was talking. All right. Preparing for marriage.
Okay.
Maybe
it's buying clothes and...
that's wedding. That's preparing for wedding and engagement. And thank God you mentioned it. A lot of people mix it up. They prepare for, in fact, they will do bridal shower. They will do this. They will do photo shoot. They will do a lot of things. I'm not saying it's wrong for the wedding, but they do little or no preparation for marriage. Amazingly, do you know that preparation for marriage has started as far back as when you were, before you become 10 years in your parents' house? It has started. Bro. It has started the way you see things, your outlook about home, cooking, what have you. I'm not discriminating whether you are a man or a woman. It has started. They are all preparations. My children know today that I don't wait for them to say, if I see a place that is dirty, I clean it. If I'm in the kitchen, I clear it. Things like that started from the home where I came from. So a lot of people, and that's why we parents too, we must be conscious of teaching our children some of these things as early as possible. I was just this week, I was eating in my place of work, and somebody walked in. I was like, this your food looks rich, oh. This. I said, look at everything that is in this place. I cooked it. And the person was like, it's a lie. It's a lie. I was like, why is it a lie? What is the big deal about cooking? So, preparation for marriage is important. Character preparation is also part of it. Okay. You notice a character in you that is not good enough, work on it. Work on it. Start working on it. I used to tell my students, I don't like students living alone, because you are not going to learn anything from your labor. But when you live with the good, the bad, and the ugly, you will learn a lot of things with them, and your character will be getting amended for good. So all those things are preparation for marriage. Read books about marriage. Learn the nitty-gritty of marriage. Learn all the things that you need to sacrifice when it comes to marriage. So all those things are preparing you for that marriage you are going to enter into. So it's very, very important.
Ẹ ṣé sà, ṣe rí àṣálẹ́ yìí ṣe mọ̀ pé agbádùn àkókò tí lọ. Well, I'm sure for those of us that have joined from the inception, you must have really learned a lot of things. And you know, why are we saying this? Wọ́n ní tí ẹ bá rá lágbẹ̀dẹ tó ń durin lójú kan, ó dájú pé àmì wà ńbẹ̀ ni. We keep saying this, we keep talking around this every week, so that your lives can be better. We know that marital relationship is something that is important to the society. And there are so many people out there in church and everything that need to really settle down well. And that is why we are discussing issues, major issues that affect even us as youth, as teenagers, and as singles at home. You might be single parents, you might be a divorcee. The fact that you didn't get it right the first time doesn't mean that you can't be anything in life. And that is why tonight is anchored around you and around the word love. Sir, as we close, maybe you joined in between. This evening we are hosting Dr. Oladapo. He's a relationship coach, a book writer, a conference speaker, a relationship person. And he has really extensively, he has discussed with us about what love is. We want your parting words, sir, as we close tonight. What do you have to say to someone that is just joining?
Thank you very much. If you are just joining, I want you to understand that love is important in a relationship. Because when it comes to a relationship, I'm yet to see a relationship where only one person is in that relationship. Relationship involve at least two people. And our particular focus is a marital relationship. So in a marital relationship, love becomes very essential. Don't enter a relationship where you cannot beat your chest and say, I love this person. Don't enter a relationship where you cannot beat your chest and say, this person truly loves me. Don't enter a relationship where you have not proven that love over time. There are certain tests of love that shows that, yes, this person really loves me. So in a relationship, it's important for you to be sure that both of you have mutual love for one another. This is the foundation of all relationships.
Thank you very much. If you get it, mutual love, you and me. Not parasitic love, sir. Mutual love. Not you loving or he loving. So you should understand that. And if you understand, if that is the only thing you are picking tonight, then you have done well. Well, I want to thank each and every one of us for joining us tonight.